up, folks? You are tuned into the failing frequency. Is that sexy?
Oh, incredibly, mate. Deep, husky.
My name is Ethan.
And I'm Mike.
And we like talking about Star Trek.
We do indeed. And what Trek are we talking about this week?
We got some strike news. We got some shite news. We got an episode of Lower Decks, called something. And
Empathalogical Fallacies.
Empathalogical Fallacies.
Yeah.
And very short treks. I just realised the name of the very short treks. Holograms all the way down.
Turtles.
That's like a logical fallacy.
Yeah.
And it's all come together. It's all.
I didn't
come
even notice.
together.
I didn't even notice.
I was like busy. Like now I have a day job and a baby. So like things already used to fly over my head, but now, goodness.
Yeah. You're just constantly. It's just shit and nappies flying over your head as well.
The shit and the nappies aren't the problem. Like I was saying to you before we started recording, it's the puke.
It's
They
puke.
didn't tell me how much they would puke.
Yeah. What's the point in feeding
anyway.
them so much if they're just going to puke? What's the point in waking
No, it's
up
a
to do
waste.
feedings?
It's a waste. It's a waste of perfectly good tea milk.
Yeah.
Anyway, how you doing, Mike?
I'm all good. Living the dream. I've got family here on the weekend, so my lovely spare bedroom behind me is going to be used up, sadly. But other than that, I'm, as I say, living the dream, looking forward to family, really. But should we start talking about Star Trek and then
Yeah, man.
and the news?
Let's talk about Star Trek. Let's start off. Let's knock out our least favorite recurring villain of the failing frequency. Let's. I mean, it's been a while since when was the last time you beat a dead horse? Let's beat a dead horse. Oh god damn it! I lost the friggin'
We
story.
do it every third or fourth show here, so
Yeah, every third or fourth show, Lindsay Beer has recently come out and said, like, no guys, don't worry. Star Trek 4 is still happening.
yeah. This was in response to, obviously, the writer strikes are coming to an end, so everyone's asking the writers, that because they're free articles for Screen Rant and stuff like that. Oh, what does the end of the writer's strike mean for Star Wars? What does it mean for Star Trek? I saw one where it was, what does it mean for Stargate? And I'm like, exactly what it's meant for Stargate for the last decade. Yeah.
Like, absolutely nothing.
And this person's a writer on Star Trek 4, one of the many writers that have been. And yeah, you're lying. I don't care if you've got a Star Trek 4 script. There's no money for filming a Star Trek 4. It's not going to happen, lady.
Yeah. Lindsay Beer, in an interview with Collider, said that she was. Is it she? Who is Lindsay Beer?
She's one of the writers.
She's one of the writers. She
the
said
current
that,
writers on 4.
She was excited to work on the project, but had to hop off the Star Trek project to write Pet Sematary Bloodlines, a prequel to 2019's Pet Sematary, a sequel that I didn't know was happening to a movie that I completely forgot happened.
Yeah.
And clearly so did she, because if she knew one thing about Pet Sematary, she would know that sometimes dead is better.
Yeah.
So we've got this Trek movie article. They're talking. They cite a couple of previous articles of theirs. One where they mentioned that Zoe Saldana mentioned in a God. There's so much citation. There's no original stories anymore, is there? So this article is citing another article that cites a Zoe Saldana 20 Questions interview where she mentioned that scheduling problems, and also that she thinks it probably has something else to do with the project. Okay, and then it cites another article that cites an interview that he did at that Zachary Quinto did at STLV 2023, saying, I think it's about different people having different agendas and ideas about what it will be.
Yeah,
I don't think
and the money that they're willing to pay for
it. Yeah. So yeah, and I mean that's probably quite right. You know, on the creative side, they're probably like, yeah, we'll make a Star Trek movie. We'll make a good one. Then you've got the studio who's like, no, we'll make like a summer blockbuster with some of the world's highest paid actors.
The most valuable female star at the moment, probably, or the one that has the highest box office ever.
Yeah.
Zoe Saldana, a guy who, and then Chris Pine, a guy who looks like a mountain man and just enjoys shooting his own films at the moment. So he's just finished his first directorial debut. Zachary Quinto, who prefers stage and smaller films now anyway. And they're just
American
free of the cast.
Horror Story.
Yeah. That's just free of the cast. So to get everyone back on the same day when you normally announce that you're doing a movie without telling them is going to be pretty hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's just not going to happen. It's never going to happen. If it does happen, I hope it doesn't.
Yeah. Be nice to see them again, but it's not going to happen.
No.
No.
And also, like, not only is it not going to happen, it doesn't need to happen. Like,
No.
like literally, no one is asking for this.
We've kind of shifted back to the Prime universe anyway, so we don't need to keep being in Kelvin at all.
No, we've got skinny Kirk with skinny neck and big jaw Kirk, and we like him. We've decided that we like him now.
Yeah.
So let's keep him.
And you have to pay them, less than 10% that you have to pay Pine.
Oh, and we've got Ethan Peck as well. Talk about Pecs.
Oh.
Gosh. Yeah. We don't need these guys. Thanks anyway. No. Thanks.
Yeah.
But no
thanks, but no thanks. Yeah.
Moving on. Yeah, as Mike mentioned before, that stupid little "look at me, I still exist" from Lindsay Beer comes in the wake of the Writers Guild of America ending its 148-day strike after reaching a tentative deal with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. Yay! Ooh. One for the unions.
Yep.
Seize those means of production.
Yeah, boy.
The decision to end the strike was unanimous among the leaders of the WGA. Members of the union will vote on the tentative deal from October 2nd to October 9th and are advocating for streaming residuals and protection against AI usage in the film industry. The deal will prohibit the use of AI for writing or rewriting literary material and preventing studios from enforcing its use on writers. But writers can use AI with studio consent.
Yeah, seems fair enough.
It's a tool.
Yep. So
You're
am
a
I.
bloody tool.
Hey.
Yeah,
oh, parallel thought.
Beautiful. So yeah, I mean, this is all great news. People are getting pay rise. People are getting residuals. What was that thing I wrote out earlier? Streamers will provide viewership data to the WGA with a confidentiality agreement addressing concerns about transparency from streaming platforms. There's protections against malicious cancellation of shows. You know, they're going to be instilling minimum staffing requirements for writers and production. This is based on episode count, which is interesting considering how short series are these days. Yeah. But yeah, this is great news. Great news. The SAG-AFTRA sort of contingent of this, the Actors Guild, will also be kind of led through their talks in the wake of this as well. So hopefully, these folks will be, productions will be back on track soon enough.
Hopefully, once the SAG's done.
Yeah, mate. But what does this mean for Star Trek?
Like every article.
What does this mean for Star Trek? That's what every article. Every article I found, Hollywood Reporter, Forbes, they were all like, but what about Star Trek?
What does it mean for this and that?
Mate. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, Strange New Worlds was reportedly pretty much finished writing anyway.
Yeah.
So they're just waiting for the actors to be able to come and shoot. So that's ready to go and might still hit 2024 back end just.
Yeah, man. Yeah, hopefully
Maybe.
Going to filming sort of. I mean, they say hopefully late October, early November, but I doubt it. I think it's probably more than likely that they'll go into production. I mean, that's the thing. Like, what are we talking? Christmas breaks in filming for TV? Like, how does that work?
Well, they still have like a week sometimes.
Maybe.
They don't take, December off or anything like that. And I'm sure with the studios having no content filmed over the last couple of months, they'll be desperate to get as much done as early as possible, churn through some stuff. So I think it's still likely for, very tail end of next year because you've still got to do all the VFX and stuff like that.
Yeah. They had
which the writers couldn't guide.
They'd already completed a lot of previs. But also we've got Star Trek Discovery had completed production for season 5. The strike lift allows co-showrunners to oversee post-production. Yeah, I was quite surprised to I actually noticed while reading for this that like a lot of the showrunners gladly went on strike as well.
If you're a member of the guild, so Mariner, whatever her real life name is,
Tawny
Newsom was in both guilds, so she would have been on strike through the Writers Guild and not being able to do any writing duties, and then she would have been on the strike through the Acting Guild and not being able to do any writing and acting duties. And now she's able to write again, but she can't act. So yeah,
she'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We've also got the Section 31 streaming movie starring Michelle Yeoh can commence pre-production.
Yeah,
go for it.
Sure.
Shoot for the moon. Shoot for the moon, guys. Work on the planned Star Trek Starfleet Academy series, including script crafting, can resume. Script crafting!
Yeah. It's like sandwich artists at Subway.
They can resume the spitballing stage of Starfleet Academy. Star Trek Lower Decks continued under tag contract with season 5 scripts already in progress. So, Star Trek Prodigy, work on the second season had been completed, but finding a new streaming home is now a priority. Other developments. With the strike lifted, development for new Star Trek series can begin. Ooh.
Legacy, maybe? Get Terry Matalas.
Legacy. Star Trek. What else? What could we do next? Oh, Star Trek Klingon Academy.
I'd prefer Klingon Academy than Starfleet Academy as a show.
Yeah.
Be more expensive with prosthetics all the time, but
Yeah. there may be discussions about. We've already said that Paramount Plus may reassess its Star Trek franchise plans based on data analysis. They should. They should.
Yeah.
They should analyze the data. Because the next bullet point I've got is writing work can continue for Star Trek 4 and other film projects. Maybe reassess that data first. Maybe see who gives a shit about what, and then do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, as we said, the next critical step is reaching a deal with SAG-AFTRA. Actors are advocating for a living wage and compensation for their work. Great.
And for their faces to not just be stolen by AI and used as background material for everything forever on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The strikes have affected industry workers nationwide, and the strike will end once AMPTP engages in negotiations. Great. I've also got a little bit here. NYCC 2023 impact. The strike's end may allow writers/producers like Alex Kurtzman to attend Star Trek Universe panel at New York Comic Con for reveals and surprises. Oh man, imagine being presented with pins by Alex Kurtzman himself.
Yeah.
Could you believe it? If a deal with SAG-AFTRA is reached, actors could also participate in the New York Comic-Con panel. Honestly, they should. They all should. Because they probably need money. They probably need the money. And you get paid to go to that shit. So.
Well, they can still be there and sign stuff, but they can't talk about shows. They can't promote shows. So they could be at Comic-Con and do all the, photo booth and shit like that, and spend more time signing photos and less time on a panel, really.
Yeah.
So
Great.
they can still get money.
I'm sure that they much prefer that. I'm sure they much prefer spending half the money they earn doing that on hand sanitizer.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, all good news. All great news. All news that makes me happy. Yeah, big up unions.
Down with the establishment.
Yeah, man, down with the system. Big up the unions. I've just seen a picture of Wilson Cruz. Why? Like, you have no reason to be that jacked. It's ridiculous. Like,
And if anything, it just shows striking works and unions are good. So
yeah, striking works, unions good. Lots of other, the over here in the UK, we've had train drivers striking.
Mm-hmm.
Train drivers striking. Over in America, you've got like people in the automotive industry striking for various reasons.
Yep.
People in the rail industry in America also thinking about striking. Yeah, it's all good stuff. All good stuff. Remind the people in power where the power really lies. It lies on the grubby mitts of the working man.
Yeah. It's all ours.
You eat your caviar in your ivory tower. I'm gonna eat a sandwich with hands covered in motor oil. I mean, I'm not. I work from home in a makeshift office in my partner's walk-in changing room cum closet thing.
Yeah.
But in
Same.
spirit.
Yeah.
Like,
What we do is we muddy our hands before we eat our sandwiches at lunch. Before we walk to the kitchen and make sandwiches, we muddy our hands.
Yeah. I go outside, rub it in some dirt.
Yeah.
Rub it on my face.
Solidarity.
Right on.
Right on. Anyway,
Solid.
that's the news, though. Shall we start
that's
talking
the
about
news.
the episode? So,
The episode of what?
Lower Decks.
Oh, yeah, I remember now.
Yeah, I remember it happened. So Lower Decks season 4, episode 5, halfway through the season now. Episode title Empathalogical Fallacies. That's right.
Something or other.
One of those words.
Empathalogical fallacies.
Yeah. One of those takes. Ethan, what did you think of it?
I thought it was all right. I actually laughed out loud
Wow.
4 times.
Four times?
I laughed out loud. I actually went, ha!
Ah, that's more than normal for you.
That is a lot more than normal for me. Like, normally I just
Yeah.
go, that was amusing.
Yes. That was amusing. Yeah. I didn't. I probably laughed less at this one than I did the previous one, but I thought it was a really strong episode as well.
Yeah.
Like, you know how normally I complain the A plot and the B plot have nothing to do with each other? Not the case here. They have a whole message that's weaved through. We get insight into a character that's not Boimler or Mariner.
A lot of insight.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like, yeah. We'll go into it, but like that character is like a character in the show now, I think.
Yeah. And to me, that this episode felt a bit season 1. You know where everyone gets the zombie virus? It felt a bit like that, and because, you know, but the majority of the crew is doing, and because we're having to introduce ourselves to a new person, kind of. But still, very strong episode, I thought. Yeah.
Sorry,
Anything else for
I
non-spoilers?
just realised something else that I laughed at. I laughed at 5 things.
Look at you, Mr. Humour.
What's the fucking doctor called? Ta'ana?
Ta'ana.
Ta'ana. Yeah. She made me laugh.
Yeah, it's a Ta'ana, Tutlin, Tut this, Tut that, this week.
To me, to you.
To me, to you.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but should we move on to spoilers so we can talk about the episode then, if we haven't got much in non-spoilers? Okay, in What's the Story? The Cerritos is giving 3 partying Betazoids a ride to Riser, but the crew is acting very strange and all emotional. Boimler is refusing to go to the party until he remembers all the crew's names, so Rutherford puts a call into Shax to put him on the program. Shax's program is having Boimler join his security crew for slam poetry, charades, and board games. Meanwhile, Talin is trying to send a message to her old ship asking to come back, but communications are down. Talin is seemingly immune to whatever is affecting the rest of the crew's emotions and posits that it's the Betazoids, Betazeds, I never know which one, influencing behaviour. Oids, is it?
The Zoids.
Zoids. Zoidbergs. The Betazoids are, who are actually Betazoid intelligence, are under the same influence themselves and take over the ship. Captain Freeman triggers the red alert, which gets the security crew and Boimler into action, and they take back the ship. Talin finds out that she is the cause of the psychic disturbance, and after a mind meld with Mariner to steady her emotions, she explains that once she was kicked off the Vulcan ship for acting on instinct, and she feels like she isn't Vulcan enough. Mariner gives her a pep talk and says that her previous captain was illogical for sending her away when she saved the ship. That talk settles Talin down, which returns everyone, including the Betazoids, to normal. With everything back to normal, Shax explains to Boimler that security crew are about protecting the crew, including their emotional well-being, so the games are a way to calm him down. As a parting gift, the Betazoids give Freeman a picture of the probe that's been destroying ships all season.
Show me what you got.
Show me what you've got. Yeah, strong episode.
Yeah, very, very strong episode. There was my favourite bit was the cameo. I say cameo, but just like an extra special guest star of Wendy Malick.
Yeah, I pulled up her name. It's on my screen now.
I've got it on my phone. I was like, I know her. And like, I was watching with my partner.
I know
and they
that.
were like, who? And I was like, Wendy Malick. She always plays like a bitch,
Yeah.
like a rich drunk woman.
A horny, and she's horny in this as
Yeah,
well.
man.
You know,
She's a lush.
can't resist
yeah,
it.
man. I love a middle-aged space lush.
Yeah, yeah. So what were the 4 or 5 pieces that you laughed at?
The 4 or 5 pieces that I laughed at. First, I just wanted, the thing that I was saying before, about like the character who is now like a character in the show. It's Talin. Like Talin, it was Talin's log today.
Yeah.
Talin laid a log today, and like, she's clearly a member. She's part of the show. She's a character. She's a real character.
I can only think of 2 times where Trek has kind of introduced a character midway through a show, and they've been successful. And that's like one of them, 7 of 9, to bump off, Jessica Lean or whatever it was, and Chekhov. And Chekhov's not really a character.
Chekhov.
Yeah. He's not really a character though.
He's an accent.
Yeah.
He's an accent with a haircut.
Yeah. Oh, and I suppose Buck, and Vance.
Yeah.
I'll give Vance
a lot of Discovery characters have been added as they went along, and then they've kept them on,
Yeah.
But yeah, the actual parts that made me actually laugh, when Mariner points out everyone's having fun. Don't worry, because don't be afraid just because everyone's being weird and yelling or whatever. And Talin's like, this crew is always being weird and yelling.
Yeah,
that made me chuckle. When they made fun of slam poetry. Obviously, my partner is a poet.
Yeah.
So like anytime
you can mock poetry.
When Mariner's like, yeah, logic, bitch.
Yeah.
To Anna just being a fucking lunatic.
Yeah.
Like all the time.
Because we find out Caitians hunted Betazoids, when they were evolving or whatever. Which, nice detail.
Yeah. But like, and then when the crew like starts like losing control of their emotions and everyone's having a good time, she just turns into a fucking psychopath.
Yeah. Even more than normal.
Even more than normal. She's already a fucking lunatic. Oh, she's great this episode. Like full on like running up the walls and shit. It's great.
Yeah.
And then towards the end, I'll save the last bit because like we'll talk about the episode a bit more, and I'll mention the next bit that made me laugh. But the element that I quite enjoyed, something that I've always been a bit curious about, is the introduction into canon, because everything that happens in Lower Decks is canon.
Yeah.
Is the introduction of the BIA, the Betazoid Intelligence Agency.
Yeah. And they must be, it must be a very good asset if you've got a functioning Betazoid, unlike Troy. That they must be really good to have. Because you see them probe people's minds like Spock mind raping what's her face in Undiscovered Country. It's just like, no, don't read my mind, and like,
I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Or the the Inquisitor from the Drumhead. Sniffing out whether or not people are lying. Interesting stuff. And then obviously it's funny that they're all they're yoga pants wearing Charlie's Angels MILFs. Loved that.
Yeah.
I love a yoga MILF.
Did you think it was them? Because I was well suckered into thinking it was definitely them behind
Yeah.
it all.
Yeah. I
Because you
wasn't
see them,
expecting them to be
doing looks
spies.
at each other and
Yeah.
going, "Oh, they're onto us."
Yeah. I
Yeah,
expected the reason why the communications were down was because they knew that like three horny middle-aged uh Betazoid women were coming to the ship, so they had to like go, you know, blackout communications because like
yeah.
we have to keep this we
You
have
have
to
to
keep this
contain it.
shit on lockdown. We have to contain the madness that's about to erupt
Yeah,
when these three horny Betazoids come. Um,
and it is
but
kind of a
but yeah,
trope having an older horny Betazoid as well with Loxana.
yeah.
So yeah, I was suckered into that very heavily.
Yeah. But yeah, then it turning out that it was Bendai syndrome. That it was Talin with
With
Bendai
Talin.
syndrome.
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought it was weird because I was like, wait, is she dying? Does that mean she's dying?
yeah.
Can you get like a bit of Bendai syndrome? Can she?
Well,
Is it
apparently,
early,
or
early onset? Early onset Bendai syndrome? Is she dying, or is it like one day that's gonna be the thing that kills her?
I don't know. I think it might just be a catch-all for Vulcans who can't control their emotions really and pass it on to other people.
Maybe,
Have it so strong that they,
maybe,
yeah.
yeah,
So,
maybe.
because last time we saw that, as you know, but other people out there might not, it was Sarek, as they say in the episode, just before he dies, and then he passes his emotions on to Picard so he can function and do one last diplomatic thing.
I love you.
Acting,
Oh,
acting,
such acting, such
yeah,
acting.
acting, yeah. I like the yard margs, as community would call them, the yard margaritas that they're
Yeah.
drinking. uh,
Yeah, that's definitely going to be
it's
another thing for the Star Trek cocktail menu.
yeah. Oh,
Bajoran
definitely.
Bajoran iced tea or whatever. Not
Yeah.
Bajoran, but Betazoid iced tea.
I think it's interesting when everyone else was going crazy and weeping in a corner or smashing stuff or getting it on. Even though there's shippers for Rutherford and Tendi, those two definitely aren't getting it on at all.
Nope.
Yeah, there's
No.
that.
No, man, they were doing a human pyramid. Yeah, human pyramid. We used to do human pyramids at punk shows when I was a teenager. We would do like a human pyramid in front of the band, and then someone, sometimes me, would cannonball
Counting
into
on.
it.
Yeah.
Just cannonball into it, sometimes multiple people, and then the human pyramid would collapse onto the band as they were playing. Fucking
Rock and
such
roll.
good such good times, man. Such good times.
Such good. I
So
liked
much pain.
yeah. So the my favorite scene in the episode though was Talin and Mariner just in a cupboard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because as you say, it's an episode where it's about getting to know a bit more of Talin, and the rest of the crew don't know she was kicked off the Vulcan ship for being emotional or whatever, or acting on instinct. We found out she's 62, still looking a babe.
Yeah, man.
I even they animate it so she sits on her knees like Japanese style, whatever. And it's just, she's still very orderly even through this
Yeah.
breakdown or whatever.
Yeah, well, she is Vulcan, even if she is so emotional
Yeah.
that she got frustrated that she couldn't send it. Sorry, I'm trying to plug something in.
No worries.
I always think it's funny, like when we see a Vulcan like lose control of their emotions, completely lost control when like all they did was got a bit frustrated, at a completely understandable inconvenience.
Well, it's not just the. So I think maybe people who want to detract from the episode are just going to say, "Oh, she couldn't send an email, and that spread it to the rest of the crew." But when Spock's mum dies, he doesn't spread it to the rest of the crew. They'll use that like, "Oh, why doesn't it work elsewhere in canon?" But it's not just that piece as well. It's being kicked off this ship of her peers and being told, she's not acting Vulcan and stuff like that. That it's Buckaroo or whatever. It's the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah,
Is not being able to send an email.
it's a snowball effect.
Yeah.
As someone with ADHD, I totally understand the frustration that comes from being at work, working in hospitality. There's loads of shit going on. This is happening. This customer's pissed off. I fucked that up. I fucked this up. And then you spill a drink, and the first thought that comes into your mind is, I'm a fucking...
Yeah.
I should die.
It's easy to put shit on yourself, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you're not in the right frame of mind. And it's a whole episode about, we can get onto the message in a bit, but it's an episode about framing stuff and having the right frame of mind and, looking after you up here as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because if you don't look after yourself, it affects the way you treat others. Man.
Yeah. Should we talk about the B plot? So it's a lot shorter this episode, isn't it? Really, the Boimler security. He's desperately trying to remember everyone's names, and there's that species where what is it? It's like Sleepy Morg or Sleepy Marg, the one he can't remember. They're all called Marg.
Morgs.
Yeah, Morg for Morg. And he gets put in the program, which takes him down to the lower decks. Some things we barely see, the lower decks in any show, really. And in there,
I think that's where Lorca was hiding the tardigrade.
Yeah, and it's the only thing I can remember where they switch into a different corridor type. Other than, I think it's Good Shepherd in Voyager, where Janeway picks on 3 crew members from the lower decks, and she's like, "I'm gonna make you good people," and they're really tight, confined,
really tiny little corridor on the very bottom of the ship. The windows are down there.
There's that one,
cool.
and then
I remember that episode. It's great.
And then in Nemesis, the customary Riker fight, when he tackles Ron Perlman, he goes into those big lower decks as well. So we have seen lower decks before, but it's just to keep this slam poetry reading in peace, really.
Where it fucking belongs. Where it belongs.
Where it belongs. Oh. Partner's gonna come in, slap you.
It's fine. No, they'll just write a fucking poem. But my partner's poetry is very good. They've won awards. They've published.
They put one out shortly after having latest kid, I saw.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah.
Loads. They put them out all the time. When it comes to NaPoWriMo, or National Poetry Writing Month, I get to see them every day.
And you're thrilled with that? Yeah.
I am. It's great.
Yeah.
Great.
So yeah, there's slam poetry about Worf. There's charades where whatever he is miming being Odo going into a bucket, which I thought was good as well.
I could do that. Just show me a fucking toilet.
Yeah. No, that would be Captain's log again.
Hey.
And throughout this, Boimler's getting frustrated, thinking that he's, getting security trained or whatever, or he should be.
Yeah.
Why aren't you? Is this all you do down here? Is do poetry and charades and stuff like that? And suddenly it's red alert from above, and they all storm and take phases and big phases, and run up.
Yeah, it's the thing. It's like this is kind of, you can tell it kind of feels like it's kind of wasting time a little bit. And work all the time. It's not good for the mind, man. That rhymed. So, whoa.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's spreading.
Quick, take it out to the partner. Make them include it in the next one.
But like, it reminds me of a line from Scrubs. In the first season, it's like the only bit of wisdom that I've ever like actually kept hold of. When JD starts like hanging out with a patient who's dying, and she says to him like, "When was the last time you did something for yourself? In fact, when was the last time you did nothing?"
Yeah, sat on the grass.
Just sat on the grass and stared at the clouds. Like that's that's the thing, and a security team on a ship presumably has to be very good. And, in order to be good at what you do, you got to work hard, play hard, baby. And in this instance, play hard includes board games with your bros.
Yeah. And it reminds me of the TNG episode called Lower Decks. Do you remember that, where there's the Bajoran woman that Worf is mentoring, and he, takes her down, and because it's Worf, it's like a different sort of lesson, and he just blindfolds her and then starts attacking her, and eventually she goes, this isn't fair, and just takes it off, and he's like, good lesson learned. So they are handing out life lessons, the security teams, a fair bit. So yeah, I did like it.
Shax is a big softie.
Yeah.
Shax is a big softie, so obviously, his play hard is, kind of dorky. Like a lot of Starfleet, as I've said before, Starfleet is full of dorks.
Yeah.
Including Shax.
And I like when they do storm the bridge, and the Betazoids are trying to shut them down, and there's one female security officer at least, and she's just dodging every hit, and the Betazoid tries to shut down her brain. She's going, I can't get you. You're too level or something like that. And she's like, yeah, that's what slam poetry does. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So why does my mic not pick up clicking?
It's all right.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to. The whole point is like when lots of people are doing it.
Yeah.
It makes it kind of sounds like a honestly, it kind of sounds like a really like low monkey chatter, like whatever.
Yeah.
It is a cool sound
rather than
when
clapping.
when you're in it. I've been to
You've
a couple.
You've seen it.
I've seen a couple. I've done it. It's instead of applause.
Yeah.
Because it maintains the chill. Yeah.
Yeah. So then after everything's gone down, we kind of get a conversation with him and Boimler pretty much on those sorts of topics where it's, we're just not, what did you think security did? Just fire at stuff all day? We're looking after your well-being, including your what does he say? He doesn't say mental well-being. It's
making
emotional
sure
well-being.
your mind is secure.
Yeah.
You're ensuring the security of your state of mind. Great.
Yeah. And it kind of makes me go, God, these guys are better than Deanna again. You know?
Yeah.
It's an episode where you have Betazoids on and go like, oh, the Betazoid intelligence agency agents are better than Deanna. Shax is better at mentoring than Deanna.
Shax is a better counselor than Deanna.
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked how so here's a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Why would they like so the Betazoid agents take over the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Shit's going down. Right, we need to go back to Betazoid. Let's barrel straight through the Romulan neutral zone.
Well, I think they're just taking the shortest route, so cutting off a peninsula of whatever Romulan space.
Could they maybe like block out, like if a Romulan ship sees them, they just Jedi mind trick them into not seeing them? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe they do it
who
all the
knows?
time.
Yeah. Who knows what three of them together could do? The Betazoid should be like a real force. Maybe that's why they were attacked very heavily in the Dominion War. You know, because they were a force.
I mean, it would make sense that, like, what with them seemingly being the first, like, race to sort of cotton on to the fact that there's a ship going around fucking people up.
Yeah. Yeah, so finally now our crew knows, because we've had, 3 or 4 instances of watching this ship destroy stuff, and it hasn't really tied in very well with the overall season so far. But now it's, we were transporting these people, and I think that was it's kind of a bit dodgy, because it's like, we were transporting them from Angel 1, a pleasure planet, from TNG, the one where women rule and Riker tries to get it off with the
man,
I don't know, Queen, to Riser,
planet
and it's
of
like
the tall chicks and the tiny twinks.
Yeah. And they're transporting them to Riser, and I'm like, if they were real security agents, wouldn't they be traveling between, I don't know, not pleasure planets?
Hey, that's the best. That's. I just finished watching The Americans. That's where you get all the information.
Yeah.
In the boudoir, in the bedroom.
In the boudoir.
That's where you lure someone in, you seduce them, and then you're like, so, what are all your secrets? Where do you keep the documents?
Yeah. Yeah, they could do all that without fucking anyone. They could just be like, they could all Professor X
do.
someone.
Maybe they do.
Yeah.
Maybe Professor X does.
Yeah.
I mean, he might have to.
Oh, he's a dodgy bastard, so.
Yeah.
Bloody Professor X.
The next thing, the final thing that I laughed at.
Romulans.
I forgot. It was the Romulans.
Yeah.
When they fly up to the neutral zone and then turn around, and then it cuts to the Romulans on the deck, and they're all like, "Ah."
Yeah.
It
does seem like anytime anyone went into like the neutral zone or Romulan space, it was like, oh my god, how did this Romulan ship get on us so quickly? And they, by the look of it, they're just waiting. They're cloaked, waiting for people to cross.
Let's go lurk over there.
Yeah.
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 Oh, I also laughed at Shax when he's like, "Come on, guys, let's go resist an occupation."
Yeah. It's Shax is probably my favorite of like the upper decker crew. Easily, I'd say. Because who else? Freeman.
Shax and Ta'ana together are my favorite, but Ta'ana's definitely my favorite. She's, like I say, she's a fucking lunatic. I love her.
Yeah, I like oh, don't worry about Tahana. We gave her a warm glass of milk or warm saucer of milk. It cooled her right down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have anything else to say on the episode then?
Nah.
Nah, just strong episode, really.
Yeah, good episode, good fun episode. I think is it next week we've got Ferengis.
I think so. Yeah. So it's the episode with Rom and whatever her face is. What's the Dabo girl?
Leela.
Lita, isn't it?
Lita.
So yeah, we've got that one next week, which should be another good one because it's getting to know what Ferengi culture is now with Rom as the what was Zek?
Grand Nagus.
Grand Nagus. My brain is clearly shutting down. Brain.
Presumably we'll get another cold open with some Ferengi lower deckers making some jokes about commerce.
Yeah.
And capitalism.
And being destroyed. Trying to capture the ship to auction it off and be destroyed.
Probably.
Yeah.
But we did get some Ferengi this week, didn't we? In the very short trek.
Oh, we did indeed. Let's go on to the short trek. I didn't even get that you were, transitioning us on. Yeah.
Armin Shimmerman was in it.
So smooth.
Friggin' guest star, friggin' wall-to-wall guest stars in this one.
Yeah. Holodecks All the Way Down is the episode this week of very, very short treks or very short treks. And it kind of plays on and fucks over the Riker watching.
Morty. Oh, I thought you were going to say, like, it's basically the joke from Rick and Morty. It's the punchline from that episode of Rick and Morty. But it's that punchline with the setup of the ending of Enterprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we see Malcolm Reed, voiced by whatever his face is. Colin Trenier on the NX.
It's Reed.
And, shit goes down and we see then, it's a holodeck of Riker and Troy. And Riker saying, well, you know what, I'll tell Captain Picard about the Pegasus and stuff like that. So it's slightly different than what actually happened in the episode.
Yeah.
And then we go up another layer and it's Quark selling Garrick, they're very lifelike holograms because you'll need this to get the Romulans into war, which is, again, slightly different in the episode.
Yeah.
And then it goes up another one. Yeah. So as we go, guest stars. So we had Malcolm, we had Troy and Riker, we had Quark and Garrick. Then we go up another level to Lower Decks, and they're going, "Oh my God, this is how, the Romulans were brought into the Dominion War." Then, so that must be common knowledge in this non-canon series.
Well, I mean, that must be how they did it. Because they don't know any other way of how it might have happened.
Yeah. Which goes up a level to Prodigy. And it's just the one guest star, I think, from Prodigy, Zero.
Yeah, it's Zero. But it was really weird that, like, a weird mixture of those two animation styles do not sit next to each other. They can't. No. They don't fit.
So everything else is in TAS style except for Lower Decks and Prodigy, really.
Yeah.
And then Prodigy, it's just 2D cutouts of the 3D models, and they do this.
Yeah.
And then they've set their eyes to blink. So someone just on the 2D animation side has done that very quickly.
Yeah.
But it's good to have acknowledgement that Prodigy exists.
Yeah. Hey, remember this thing? You like this thing, don't you?
Do you know why they might remember this thing? It's because the person who made this episode is one of the exec producers of Prodigy. So I'm sure they were like, no, we'll have my show in there, please.
Yeah.
Then that goes up another level, and it's the animated series Sulu. Saying, this is ridiculous.
Takei? Was that George Takei?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
He was announced on the cast list of the whole series, so I
Yeah, I
imagine
thought I
it's him.
remembered that. I wasn't sure. Sometimes I imagine things.
Yeah. And then up another level, it's Saru,
Yeah.
played by Doug Jones. Up another level, it's Hemmer, played by Bruce Horax. Up another level, it's Neelix in bed, putting down his bedtime
Ethan
story, which is all
Phillips?
these levels of
Ethan
Ethan Phillips.
His
And
name is
then
Ethan.
his name is Ethan. I know someone else who's called Ethan. And then we're up a final level, and we see one amalgamated, merged person who is Malcolm, Riker, Spock, Uhura, T'Pol.
Yeah, and that. Whatever. I love that.
Yeah. What's kind of like, what's happening here? This can't be real. And then the
Yeah.
computer's saying like, oh, what is this end program? Like, what do you mean end program? You're the computer.
You are the program.
Yeah.
Ah!
And then we hear it shut off for another, like, go up another layer, but we don't see the other layer.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is for me, this is the funniest one yet, and by that I
It's
mean
the
probably
funniest
the
one.
only
It's
funny
definitely
one
the
so
most
far.
Absurd. Definitely
Yeah.
the most absurd. Didn't rely on like slapstick
Yeah,
or bogeys.
yeah,
Um,
and good to
but,
see,
I mean,
you know, having the NX in TAS style as well. What a
Yeah.
shame we didn't, you know, continue and do season 5 in animation, if nothing else.
Oh, that would have been good. That would have
Yeah.
been good. I think, yeah. Do you reckon they could do, like, because like we've got, like, in terms of the 3 animated series, well 4 now I guess if you count very short treks, but like the animated series, Prodigy, Lower Decks. Probably,
What's Prodigy? I've never heard of it.
it was that thing they talked about in this episode of Very Short Treks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like, do you reckon they could ever do a Star Trek animated series that was actually like a Star Trek series? Because, like, you know, TAS and Prodigy are, like, you know, Star Trek for kids. Lower Decks is supposed to be a Star Trek comedy. It's supposed to be.
Supposed to be. It gets there
It
sometimes.
often,
You
and
laughed.
often is, and often
Yeah.
is. I laughed a bunch this episode.
Yeah.
Do you reckon we could ever have like an animated series that was just like a through and through like Star Trek show?
I think you could. I think they'd want to shift styles again, so not do the same animation as Lower Decks or TAS or Prodigy. Anime, or you know how like the DC animated, most of their films are in like that kind of like blocky style. I could see something like that come out and it'd be like, oh, this is. It would still be pitched at, you know, younger adults, I think.
Yeah.
So 20s at most. But yeah, I could see it happening. It would be a way to get the Enterprise crew back, considering they are slightly aging out of the roles. You know, now they've actually got wrinkles on their face. God forbid. All the smooth,
Ugh,
incredibly smooth people.
Disgusting.
Disgusting. You might even get T'Pol back for it because she's not going to come back to acting for Star Trek, but she might do VO from her home.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
from her mansion.
from her mansion.
Didn't she marry fucking filthy rich? Fucking
Oh,
good
yes.
on you. Fucking good on you, Jolene. Get fucking man, marry rich.
It's the dream,
yeah.
man. It's the dream.
That was what my dad's dream for me was.
Yeah.
My dad, years ago. I'll tell this story and then we can probably finish. What you want to do, lad? Right, this is what you want to do. Right. Because I'm a dual citizen. I've got an American passport. I can go to America whenever I want and live there if I want. I don't need to get a green card or anything.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you want to get yourself to America. You want to get yourself a job as a fucking au pair.
Mm-hmm.
Start looking after the kids for some rich older woman.
Yeah.
Seduce her and marry her. Become a stay-at-home dad. That's
a dream.
But then he said, but not that's the dream. It was sort of like, that's what I envisioned for you.
Yeah.
That's what my dad thought was the most I could attain.
Hey, if you manage to marry a billionaire heiress or whatever,
yeah,
I'd be after that,
right. Hey man, I'm currently surfing my partner's coattails.
Yeah, which means it's just me free at the.
This isn't my room divider.
Which means it's just me free at the moment for any billionaire heiresses that are watching us.
Yeah. I'll if any billionaire heiresses come to ask me if I can look after their kids, I'll send them your way.
Forward them on to me. Yeah. Oh, but on that requests / bombshell, then should we call it? So yeah, that's it for us this week. If you want to do all the normal things YouTubers request, and podcasters, like, subscribe, tell a friend, leave a comment.
Leave me a leave us comments.
Yeah, tell us.
I don't have to start making dummy accounts to fake interaction.
Tell us if you know any billionaire heiresses that would be interested. We probably will put something on the socials again at some point. So follow us on there. But other than that, it's just time for Ethan to say,
live long and prosper, motherfuckers.
And peace and long life, double dumbasses.